evening, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby, Chalk Knox, and the Water Boy. Make sure, get your church signed up for our conference October 6th through the 8th. Really excited about that.
October
coming
when?
up. The 6th through the 8th.
In Knoxville.
In Knoxville.
Yes.
Go to FLF Network.
And just so you know, we have beer and psalms on Thursday night, but it's a family get-together.
Right.
We have kids' treats. We have kids' drinks. We have other drinks for our Baptist brethren who don't drink the good stuff. I mean, don't drink beer. And then we'll have jumpy castles and all that stuff. So that's how we kick off the conference. Just a lot of fun and fellowship. Beer and
party.
psalms. It's a party.
It's a feast.
Party. Yeah.
We start with the feasting.
Yeah.
And speaking of feasting, we have a Fight Laugh Feast magazine. Did you know about that? It's a quarterly issue that packs a punch like a 21-year Balvenie, no ice.
Again, you don't need to drink a Balvenie to be able to get our magazine.
You can drink the kids' drinks.
Yes. We don't water down our scotch or our kids' drinks.
Or our Dr. Pepper.
Why would we water down our theology? Order a yearly subscription for yourself and then send a couple yearly subscriptions to your friends or your frenemies who have been drinking lukewarm evangelical Kool-Aid. Every quarter, we promise quality food for the soul, wine for the heart, and some Red Bull for turning over tables. Mm-hmm. Our magazine includes cultural commentary, a psalm of the quarter, recipes for feasting, laughter sprinkled throughout all the glossy pages, and more. The next issue is on the grace of theonomy.
Oh,
Yes.
I love it already.
Grace of theonomy.
That's right.
You don't want to miss it. So sign up today at flfnetwork.com. Click on the shop and find that magazine and subscribe today.
Buzz Lightyear.
Oh.
He has his own. They sliced out his own movie.
Oh,
yeah.
A B-roll character came into an A-roll
great
character.
in Toy Story.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
One of your favorite characters.
This past weekend was opening weekend for Buzz Lightyear, and included in the movie was the first kind of lesbian kiss. Okay.
Oh, the first ever?
For a kids movie. For Pixar kids movie.
Pixar.
Yeah. And a lot of the headlines you're reading is that they didn't hit the revenue projections that they thought they were going to hit. They estimated themselves that they'd hit $75 million in revenue projections, and they got $51 million. And as a point of reference, it wasn't good. Yeah. It really legitimately wasn't good.
A lot less than they were shooting for.
As a point of reference, Cars 3 did $53 million opening weekend in 2017, but that was a long time ago. Movie tickets have gone up, all that stuff. So,
but it's still not like that bad.
Shoot, if I released a movie that made $51 million,
well, and
we would be happy.
Everybody knows because of Toy Story that we were excited about Buzz Lightyear.
There's a lot of build up to it,
and
a lot of buzz
over Buzz. But we also knew ahead of time, so we knew that Buzz Lightyear was going to have his own movie, and then they had cut the kiss, so they had it originally in there, and they were like, let's cut it. Yeah. But then they decided to put it back in. So we had a lead up time to this.
Well, they only put it back in for select countries. There's a bunch of countries where they actually still have the kiss cut from it.
Is the kiss in China?
But because there's an opportunity to groom America, they're like, we can keep it in America.
Well, everybody has been, every article that I've seen is like, see, that's what you get. You start going.
Yeah, Daily Wire, everyone's excited. All the conservatives excited that they're losing money.
But I think that they've missed the point. These people are invested so deeply inside of this ideology and worldview that if they only made $10 million on it, they were going to do it.
Yeah,
and they would have, and they won,
and they would have won because their job has always been to get it in your face and to jam you up.
That's right.
So, guys, we've talked about this a lot on the show, and this is a good time to bring this up again. But we talked about the book After the Ball by Kirk and Mattson, and this book has been something that we've gotten from Vody, talking about desensitizing, jamming, and conversion.
The stages of grooming, by the way.
But grooming is one of those inescapable things. Education is a form of grooming.
Discipleship.
But the question is, what are you grooming them to and towards, right? What are you being discipled in? So I get what they're trying to do. But After the Ball lays out, they had a problem. They had a problem with people rejecting homosexuality and because of the AIDS epidemic. And so what they decided to do, these two guys, was write a book on how to get past America's hate for homosexuals. And this person, who is this? What Nature Intended, Weebly. Thank you for putting this together, because the book is like $200 if you're trying to find the book.
On Amazon, I saw it for $400, but
I want to go through these. Like, there's 60 different quotations that he pulls out from the book, and it's phenomenal to think how much we've been groomed and haven't even noticed it. One of the things that they talk about here is that they need to make the homosexual agenda They said this: a homosexual agenda can succeed by conversion of the average American's emotions, mind, and will through a planned psychological attack in the form of propaganda to the nation via media. They are not. They throw it in the films. Just throw it in there. Propaganda relies more upon emotional manipulation than upon logic.
Right.
Its senses, its goal and its sense is to bring about public change.
Right.
I was.
This is where they put, in movies, it's fun, it's happy.
It's Buzz Lightyear.
The music is playing in the background, and it's like,
what's wrong with cartoon characters kissing?
And even though mentally you're thinking to yourself, I don't agree with that. Yeah. That's wrong.
Yeah.
They know they're winning. Yeah. $51 million was spent on that opening weekend.
That's right.
Grooming and discipling
and
American.
There's more millions coming.
And those, the parents that are like, well, I don't think it affected. I don't think that my kid noticed.
Yeah. And you think about it, part of it is like, to your point, this was a success.
Yeah.
$51 million opening weekend for a movie that they knew would not be accepted by the conservative right.
But even if it wasn't
very well,
$51 million, they got it in there.
Yeah. That's right.
You said it.
Wait until next year.
You said this before the show when we were talking about this. They queered Toy Story.
They queered it, and that's all they needed to do.
That's all they needed to do.
Yeah.
The homosexual agenda can succeed by desensitization, achieved by lowering the intensity of anti-gay emotional reactions to a level of sheer indifference.
Okay, now I got to stop you here, because here's the thing. So what they're talking about is the natural repugnance.
That's right.
The natural, Tabiti.
Yeah.
A few years ago had an article in which he wrote, actually, I think on his blog on the Gospel Coalition, that homosexuality is just disgusting.
Right.
The act of sodomy is just disgusting.
Yeah.
And I mean, he got a blowback. I don't know if you'd write that article today.
Well, not because he's tied together with that movement. They're all tied together now.
But here's the thing. You got that ad. This is going on right now on the YouTubes and on right now. And what should be utterly repugnant is just going.
Yeah.
What are you eating this Pride? Well, if you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve? Not this Pride. Introducing the bottom-friendly menu from Postmates. We teamed up with Dr. Evan Goldstein from Bespoke Surgical to bring you a menu of bottom-friendly foods backed by science. Insoluble fiber won't help you feel cute, so avoid things like whole grains, wheat bran, cauliflower, potatoes, legumes. Hold up, are you just fully diving into those beans? The problem with these foods is they don't dissolve in water, which could cause a traffic jam in your digestive system, making a mess of your evening. Speaking of messy, it's a good idea to avoid dairy.
I cannot handle lactose right now. Look at her.
If you're going to eat something insoluble, give your body about 24 hours to process all of it. Soluble fibers and protein are the key to having some good, clean fun. These all digest easily and slowly while feeding your good gut bacteria, which makes sushi a great bottom-friendly option. There's no right or wrong way to bottom, but if you're planning on getting peachy this Pride, the bottom-friendly menu on Postmates has the kinds of foods that could keep you feeling good.
I'm sorry that you had to watch that whole video.
Oh, my goodness.
The thing here that struck me about that video was, I think 5 years ago, that video would have been shut down. Yeah. But what's going on is we're being desensitized. We're being groomed right now as a culture. Right. So, and here we are 5 years later where this video's not getting any blowback.
I mean, I don't want to overshare, but so this is a video advertising food for those who want to engage in sodomy.
Well,
it's VeggieTales for sodomites.
Yep, that's right.
It's happy, it's bouncy, there's sound effects.
Yep.
Again, they're playing more to emotions than facts. Yep. But what they're doing is it's an illustration of the point you just read, Knox, which is that they've so desensitized the American people. I mean, think about this. We couldn't get a pro-life ad.
Right. That's right.
I mean, when's the last time you saw a pro-life ad on
well, wasn't there a big controversy with Tim Tebow running a pro-life ad in Super Bowl a couple years ago?
It's like everybody's like up in arms, screaming, freaking out. This happens.
Yep.
And everybody's like, it's kind kind of yucky. It's not really my thing.
But June is going to get worse. Less grow, and every June Pride Month is going to grow and get worse.
Some of those vegetables were dressed up as like
BDSM.
Yeah, like bondage,
leather bondage stuff. Yeah,
like sadomasochistic stuff.
Okay, so I want to keep going to this. We're going to have to do some of this in the backstage because this is 60. We only got through like 3. Okay, or 2.
I think it's going to be like this every single.
So heterosexuality or heterosexuals are like Aryans, and people who are against homosexual behavior are Nazis and Klansmen.
Oh yeah,
that's how they're portraying.
So you've got association with happy things, emotions.
That's right,
and then associations with
negative.
Yeah, KKK and racism.
Homosexual persecution is identical to Jewish persecution.
Oh yeah.
Homosexual persecution is identical to racial persecution to blacks, Asians, and Hispanics.
Gay's the new black.
American opposition is based solely on prejudice, outdated, and hypercritical Victorian morals.
Yeah, right.
And that's how we've talked about it as well.
Right.
All homosexual suicides are based entirely on social rejection.
Wow. We got that.
Right.
Because, right, I mean, that's the rhetoric. The rhetoric is if you say no to these people, you're basically condemning them to death.
That's right.
I mean, it's a safety thing. Remember the Fox ad?
The mom said, I'd rather have a live son than a dead daughter.
That's right. That's right.
Right. But it's just they've succeeded in that point.
On pages 64 to 67, all sexual morality should be abolished. You know, remember when we had
all sexual morality?
All sexual morality should be abolished, and that the reason that it has to be abolished is because they have to say you can do whatever you want, which means the silent P in the plus pedophile is coming.
This book was written in 1989.
So I can't stop thinking about the time we had Jonathan Lehman on the show.
Yeah, right.
And we asked him, what do you do with someone who has a violation of Leviticus 18? Because there's a lot of violations, but particularly the one who has sex with dead people or animals.
Right.
And he flipped out
he said, I'd never thought of that
I've never thought of that before. And by the way, Jonathan Lehman is one of the leaders of 9 Marks Ministry.
Right, right.
And he had not thought about it.
And probably one of the leading Reformed evangelicals who's actually trying to apply the Bible to the public square.
Yeah, exactly. That's
in many respects, there'd be like tons of overlap. And at the same time, you say, and you've never thought about this.
How do you not think about it when inside Leviticus 18 is dealing with the sin of homosexuality?
Right. And the thing that people have to understand is that, lust has no brakes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why when you read through Leviticus and you read through these laws, I mean, it starts with fornication and adultery, but it never stops there. It goes into homosexuality. It goes into bestiality. Yeah. And of course it includes pedophilia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get on here, you told me I had to look up something that I think North American Man-Boy Love Association.
Yeah, so because the reason I told you to look for that is because they said that groups on the furthest margins of acceptability, NAMBLA,
NAMBLA,
must play no part at all in the media's campaign.
Right.
So they know this group is a part of them, but they know they can't lead with this.
They're a little fringe right now.
That group comes in later. They actually talk about groups like that coming in later.
We were talking to our friend Bill Garraway just before the show. He's sitting in the studio with us right now, and he said down in San Francisco, NAMBLA is the lead float in the Pride Parade in San Francisco.
The first parade is some Cadillac with the mayor in it.
The mayor of San Francisco,
right behind them.
and then NAMBLA's right behind them.
With a big giant sign, NAMBLA.
Wow. And they've been doing it for years.
They've been doing it since 1989.
If you and now they have drag queens and story hours. I mean, the whole thing is about grooming. The whole thing is about breaking down all of your natural inhibitions and to say, no, this is fine. To have the kiss in Toy Story or whatever it is, Buzz Lightyear. If you don't think this is a play for your kids,
it's just cartoon characters.
No. You might not be Presbyterian, but they are.
Yeah.
You may not be covenantal, but they are.
Yeah,
They're coming for your kids. You say, we don't know what our kids are up to. We don't know what they believe. But these people are coming for your kids.
Well, Pastor, it's not just for the kids. They have come for you.
Yeah.
They have broken you down so that you don't even have a reaction against this anymore.
It's in Pixar now.
Right.
And so we keep on thinking that, they are over there. No, they want the whole kit and caboodle. I was on the show this week, and they were asking me, do you think that we could win back a particular day? We were talking about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And they said, do you think that we can actually win back Juneteenth from the social justice movement? And my response was, are you have you noticed that the left never asked the question if they're going to win the day? They assume that that's what they're going to do, and they set out a plan for it.
How are we going to win?
How are we going to win it? And we forget every time that we serve the God who brings people back from the dead. We serve Jesus Christ, and we don't have a plan for what it looks like to take this ground for his name and for his sake. And they're fighting against reality, and we have reality on our side, and we don't have a plan. Well, preach the gospel. Love your wife, raise your kids, baptize them. That's the plan.
Amen.
Get to work.
Amen.
All right, we're gonna have more cross politics coming up next.
We ain't done.
I think we need to go through this on the backstage.
Okay.
We only got through like 6 or 7. We'll go through
I have more to say too. I didn't get it all out.
Well, I didn't either. More cross politics coming up next.
Armored Republic exists to honor Christ the King by providing tools of liberty to free men. New York State just banned body armor. Armored Republic is suing the state of New York in federal court to resist their arrogant war against your God-given rights. Mass shootings are tragic acts of evil that are best resisted by armed citizens and brave watchmen ready to fight back. The main violent threat to human life is not individual criminals, it is tyranny. This is Armored Republic.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Welcome back to Cross Politic on the one and only Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Stop sending your hard-earned money to companies that hate you.
Facts.
It's time to build a Christian economy. Bobo Construction, Inc. is literally doing just that. Building Christian economy. For all your construction needs, partner with Bobo Construction, Inc. today for any project in California, Nevada, Washington, or Idaho. Contact Austin Bobo at Bobo, B-O-B-O, at boboconstructioninc.com or visit the website, boboconstructioninc.com. Whatever's fair and right, that's what we do. Bobo Construction.
I like that.
Inc.
Yesterday, we reported on a number of Supreme Court cases that are coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Right?
And one of them broke today.
One of them broke today.
Not the one I was expecting.
Still not Dobbs.
Yeah.
No.
You know, still not Dobbs, even though the leaked stuff is out there. The Supreme Court ruled today, 6-3, Tuesday, that Maine's tuition assistance program violated the First Amendment. Violated the free exercise for excluding religious schools from eligibility in their tuition program. So Maine, what happened is in Maine, they have these, their public school system, but their public school system can't reach everybody because they got a lot of rural areas in Maine. And so what they they're allowing private schools to participate, but not religious schools.
Right.
And so the parents could opt to have their taxpayer dollars, because there's no public school in the region servicing them, to go to a private school.
Of their choice.
Of their choice, but not religious schools. But the Supreme Court ruled that this was violating First Amendment rights for institutions. And here's what Robert said, because he was actually on the side of the conservative justices on this one.
Wow.
For whatever reason.
Amazing.
He said, regardless of how the benefit and restriction are described in the program operates to identify and exclude otherwise eligible schools on the basis of their religious exercise.
Right.
So the program specifically said religious schools can't participate in this, which is, in Roberts and the Supreme Court's view, restricting religious schools.
Right.
Now, I'm torn on this one. Because the constant temptation that we've talked about so much here on the show is like, once you start getting that access to that government dollars, I think we're trying to figure out, how do you break the embargo, the public school embargo,
right?
And if there's a way to kind of make parents feel free to go to different schools, we're kind of for that a little bit. But once Christian schools start participating in that program, then they started getting addicted to the cheese.
Yeah. Taking the king's coin, you become the king's man.
Well, and to be fair to the schools in question, Bangor Christian School and Temple Academy, are uncertain at this point whether they would actually accept public funds according to the court filings. So this isn't the school necessarily who's arguing for the public fund.
This is I think there's a parent that went after it.
The parent went after it and said, "Why can't?" So the schools are disqualified. They didn't really care because they weren't going after it, but the parents.
So I've got really mixed feelings. Our friends at ADF were supportive of this. They participated. I think filed a what is it called? Like a friend of
amicus
brief, friend of the court. And so they were part of it. And I think I see the argument being that I do think that it is a breach of the First Amendment for the state to say basically we can do one thing with these funds but not another just based on your religion. So I
go to one school but not this school. That school, not this school.
So I do think on the merits, I agree, and I'm thankful, and I think it was a good,
the right decision on the merits.
But you're absolutely right. The thing that I think everybody's got to be jumping up and down on and really, really nervous about is the fact that everything the government gets their hooks into. So if you take this money in Maine, for example, and next year the 7th booster shot comes out.
That's right.
Or the 8th booster shot because of whatever, COVID-15 or the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Monkeypox.
Whatever. Moneypox. Does that Christian school that takes that money got to require vaccines? Or do they have to follow the CDC regulations? What about the curriculum guides? What about, we just talked about the Pride Month LGBT stuff. How much of that comes with the money?
It's funny you say that because the school these schools we just talked about, Bangor Christian School, Bangor, and Temple Academy, they don't hire teachers or admit students who are transgender. Neither one of them do.
So they have real Christian convictions.
Gay or lesbian teachers.
They have real Christian convictions.
So that's already there. So the question is what makes you move in that position? What is the thing that moves you in that position? And it's when you build your whole system off of government influence.
This is why New St. Andrews College, for example, doesn't take any government money.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just a standard operating procedure from jump. The founders of the college, I think, were just really wise and said no government money.
So if the parents say, okay, fair enough, we get that, we'll take the government money and pay for it with our kids because that's technically
the same
our
charge
money
would be to the parents too.
That would actually be a protection. But I doubt. I wonder if the government's going to let them do that. I don't think the government's letting them do that.
As I understood in Maine, that this was a parent-directed program saying...
But who sends the check?
Yeah, I think...
If the check comes back to the private individual, I think we need to break the embargo. We need to break the monopoly. And so I do see this as potentially doing that. And I'm thankful for that, but I'm nervous.
And this goes to conservatives. I just don't have the confidence for them to handle some of this play that we're talking about.
What are you talking about, Gabe? Republicans are so trustworthy.
Well, so Ron DeSantis in Florida right now is trying to fix some of the emergency shutdown problems that happen in Florida.
Right.
You remember, was it Rodney Howard Brown got arrested in Florida for doing church, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was under DeSantis' emergency shutdown order.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to fix some of the problems that the emergency order caused.
Right.
And so Ron DeSantis, the legislator actually passed it. And so now it's going before Ron DeSantis right now, where they're trying to correct the emergency order where it prohibited religious services or activities.
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah. First Amendment, good, right?
Right.
Well, read on, and it says that the bill says, however, a general provision in the emergency order which applies uniformly to all entities in the affected jurisdiction may be applied to a religious institution if the provision is in furtherance of a compelling governmental interest and is in the least restrictive means of furthering that compelling governmental interest. So the guy who wrote the bill says this about it. About that sentence. He says this. He says it would basically say if Publix is open, the rest of the Safeway, Publix.
Grocery store. For those of you who are not from the South.
So is your place of worship.
Oh.
That's what he said. And he said what it doesn't seek to do is what we've seen in some other states, including Florida, where churches, synagogues, and mosques were singled out for congregated activity. So in states, including Florida.
Yeah.
Right? Including Florida, they shut down churches and said, but Publix has to be open. It's an essential service. That happened in Idaho, too.
Because you need food to live.
Yeah.
But you don't need Jesus.
So now Ron DeSantis is like, conservatives like, I'll fix this bill.
Yeah.
I'll fix it. We'll say churches are Publix. Churches are Safeway.
Yeah.
It's like, no, churches. Isn't there like a First Amendment clause already? First Amendment.
Well,
that already says you can't. Congress shall make no law. I mean,
well, this isn't Congress.
I mean, what is he fixing? No, it was the 17th Amendment applied the First Amendment to states. So I think it's 17th.
You know, one of the things is that you can look at the Republicans or the conservatives and say they have no idea what the church is. Like they don't see the church any different than a Publix at the end of the day.
This is what we deserve.
And so what he just basically said is that the manager or the owner of Publix is no different than your God.
Pastor. Than your pastor.
Well, no.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
He's reduced God to no different than a Publix manager. Because your God tells you, don't forsake the fellowship of the brethren. Your Publix manager says, hey, guess what?
Bananas are on sale.
Right, exactly. And so he's basically said, we're going to treat those two things the same, but one is over the other, and the government can't see that. I don't care how good they're trying to be. And so these are why certain things are pre-political. He should have never, if he should have passed a bill or wrote a bill, whatever it was going to be, it should have been something like, we don't have any authority.
No, it should have been, we screwed up. We'll never do this again. That's what it should have been.
Well, since Jesus is Lord, we have no jurisdiction
over the church.
Right, exactly. The implication, we don't have those type of authorities.
That's right.
But the language even of, I know they're trying to be really restrictive in terms, but even the language of compelling governmental interest,
right?
I just don't trust.
Well,
I just don't trust. And I think I've referenced this before, but in the Spanish flu, 1919. Bill was there. No, I'm kidding.
Bill's like, yeah.
I was there. I remember that.
Nope, that was the right date.
I think it was in Washington, D.C., when the churches did shut down there for a little bit. The records are that the government of Washington, D.C. wrote a letter to the pastors and asked them if they would shut down for a time. Now, the Spanish flu was literally was striking at the young people, children, and the mortality rate really was like intense. But it was a request because the leaders of Washington, D.C. knew at that time, unlike Mayor Bowser today, that they didn't have authority over the churches.
Yeah, so it was a hey, please help us out here.
It was one government to another. With respect.
And that's the thing. We don't recognize those as real governments.
That's crazy.
So the problem, again, is a theological problem. You know, one thing that we miss every time we're talking about some sense of laws, legislation, government, we are not talking about something outside of the realm of theology. We are talking about...
It's all theology.
It's all theology.
It's all theology.
It is, who is God? What is man? And what is man's responsibility to each other in light of what God has done in creation? When we miss that, all we're doing is playing around with who is God and what's the standard between the two. At this point, it's just the government saying, we're the ones who give you... It's the same thing with the 4th of July and the kind of Juneteenth. It's the government being able to say, you can have this holiday, and this is how you celebrate this holiday. No.
With an Afro pick?
Right. Don't even get me started.
Did you see that,
Don't even
Knox?
get me started. Talk about...
I was actually hoping to get you started.
Let me tell you something.
I was just hoping.
I only got a
Is that how we celebrate Juneteenth?
Let me tell you something. Our forefathers, who were the ones who were enslaved, that got the news late, 2 years late, and they had Union soldiers come in and tell them, guess what, you're free. They would look at this new crop and smack they would smack them so hard so that they would disconnect them from the line that they were in covenantally. Because they have missed out on the beauty of what the Declaration of Independence actually comes to fruition inside of. Oh, it grows up, and now we hear the news. We're free like everybody else. And you miss that and put an Afro pick up? Are you serious?
But this is drag.
That's
what this is.
It's queered.
It's all queered. They're queering the emancipation of slaves.
The celebration of Juneteenth.
That's what I mean. They're queering it all, which is destroying it all. It's in the same way that a man dressing up like a woman is a complete mockery of womanhood. It's the same thing. You say you want to honor the heritage of black folk who are now being recognized as made in the image of God.
With an Afro pick.
And here is, that's like, it's drag. That's what it is. This is blackface.
And it's amazing because what people are missing, especially about Juneteenth is not a holiday that is a black holiday. It is an American moment. This is something beautiful about America. I said
the last slaves were set free.
So whatever our situation on the Civil War is, you have Union soldiers coming in who have died for these people to have their freedom, right? Yeah. And you have chains that are being broken because of them giving their lives. This is a unifying moment between black and white people. This is our holiday. This is our event. And what we need to do is throw a way better party than everybody on the left and show what real unity looks like. The first thing those slaves did was praise God for their freedom.
Yeah, but we need to make better stories. We need to make better movies.
Wow.
Because right now, after the ball, they're telling better stories.
Well, we don't think that we have the future, but the future belongs to us.
That's right.
You know, not Chris Evans.
Amen.
Heard that, Chris? If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. And if you are a Fight, Laugh, Feast Club member, you can
here we go.
Join us with some more.
Here we go. I got another thing.
After the ball begins now.
So
this is Cross Politics.
The season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. All right, so just stay like this. How am I doing here? So, you don't like this, huh? What does a Christian education look like when non-Christians are the ones who control the institutions of learning? This is a question that confronted Bishop Augustine of Hippo in North Africa in the 5th century AD. Augustine lived at the twilight of the Roman Empire. He himself had been trained with the best learning that Rome at that time had to offer. He himself actually came through the ranks and taught rhetoric in some of the best schools. And it was then, after he had come of age, that he converted to Christianity, but he wanted to continue the project of education, but this time for Christians. And so he had to confront the question, what does a Christian education look like when the unbelievers control the field? When they control the institutions, when the whole apparatus and curriculum of learning emerge from a pagan environment. And so Augustine wondered, what is it that Christians should jettison? What is it that Christians can embrace? What is it that Christians can adopt but in modified form? These are the questions that Augustine confronted when he sought to educate Christians in an environment when unbelievers dominated the field. A century later, we see a man in the south of Italy named Cassiodorus, who faced a very different educational landscape. He had to ask, what did a Christian education look like in an environment where unbelievers had abandoned the project of education altogether? The infrastructure of learning had entirely eroded. If education was to proceed at all, it had to proceed on the foundation of Christianity. The Christians had to be the ones preserving education. What does a Christian education look like when Christians are the ones forming the institutions, when Christians are the ones organizing the curriculum? Well, these two seasons in the history of education, the season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus, just 100 years apart, were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. We're going to be studying this story. We're going to be going back to the sources. We're going to go back to Augustine. We're going to go back to Cassiodorus. We're going to ask ourselves, which of their predicaments most resembles our own? Which can we learn from Augustine's period? What can we learn from Cassiodorus's period? As we confront these questions, we're going to engage these sources, and we invite you to join us here at New St. Andrews College.